Hello, all, and welcome to Lands of Lore 2 Guardians of Destiny. This is rather a special video here and playthrough for a number of reasons. One is just simply because this is a great series. The first game will always be my favorite, but this is a very cool continuation. The third is maybe a little more questionable, or a lot questionable. But either way, that part is very cool. However, the other thing that is just fun for me is that, obviously I've been kind of making this room down here, but simultaneously I've been, for the first time ever, designing and building my own kind of gaming PC, which obviously is not overly necessary to kind of go that intense for a game from, I don't know, 1994, 1996. I forget exactly when. But still very fun and exciting for me. So you may notice a little bit of difference in some of the visuals and things. But outside of that, I don't think we need to dwell too much on those aspects. And I think we can start moving into the game itself. Now, I think we're just going to do a quick little intro video like I've done before. It won't be a particularly long thing, but just to kind of set the stage. Now, in the manual that comes with the game, there is a pretty long and in-depth sort of backstory written down that, for other games I've kind of read the entirety of. For this, it's like 8 pages long, actually over 8 pages, and I certainly don't want to do all of that. I think that's a little too much. The other thing is that there are some details included in there that I think are a little bit more fun to let them kind of come out during the game itself. So I don't even really want to talk about those things, just in case any of the information is new to you. Now, when it comes out in the game, it's done a little bit more in kind of the Dark Souls style, in the sense that some information is very, very clear, but others, other information is just kind of hinted at more so. And for that, I'll kind of refer back to this, introduction that they have in the manual and try to give some further details on it. But some of it really is just pure backstory that doesn't come up in the game at all. And that portion, at least, I want to mention here. Plus, I want to just very slightly set the scene for what's going to be happening that we will learn about more in the game. So why don't I do that quickly, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit more, get through the intro, and end things there. So basically, what the kind of manual tells us is, in the beginning, there was this class, this race of ancient, essentially godlike beings. They were immortal and just kind of knew everything, controlled everything, and basically that was very boring. So either they developed and created this world that the Lands of the Lore games exist in, or they sort of discovered it and just came, and basically they use it as a form of entertainment, as a form of a TV show, a book, to break up their monotony and get to experience things that they do not control. And as part of that, they all made a solemn vow, law, whatever, that they would in no way kind of directly affect the course of events of this world. They would all just be impartial and observe. And so that's kind of the basic background of where that starts from. Now, in more recent times, I'm going to have to try to pay attention to make sure I don't accidentally read portions of this that I don't want to. So in more recent times, we come to Scotia. Obviously the antagonist of Lands of Lore 1. So Scotia, it says here, was spurned as a lover during her youth by the then Prince Richard of Gladstone, Marguerite Fiston, which apparently is Scotia's real name, nursed a natural grudge against the royal house. She eventually married a prominent local landowner and bore him a son named Luthor. After years of peace, the war between the evil Dark Army and the opposing White Army of Gladstone flared anew. One of the first victims was Luthor's father, slain by a raiding party as he accompanied the wagons to market along Gladstone's main road. Marguerite was enraged, blaming the lax security of Gladstone for the loss of her husband. She combined this hate with her previous grudge to form a psychosis that deprived her of all normal reason. Turning enthusiastically to the dark side, she took the name Scotia and buried herself in studies of the dark and magical arts. Poor Luthor, then but halfway through his teens, kicked casually at the weeds for a year or so, but then left the farm and the unpleasantness of Gladstone to seek his fortune elsewhere. His mother, Scotia, proved a good student, and soon her magical skills and unswerving hatred for Gladstone earned her the respect of all the Dark Army. She reigned supreme as the most powerful sorceress of her time. Still, her success brought her little solace, and she was determined to use her new talents to bring about the death of King Richard. Richard was no fool, however, and access to his person was guarded jealously, lest a traitorous Dark Army agent should poison his food or engineer some such treachery. Scotia's attempts to get close enough to him to do him harm were all in vain. Acting on rumors mentioned in several of her magic tomes, Scotia began hunting for the legendary ancient magic artifact known as the Nether Mask. Surely the powerful, shape-changing properties reputedly bestowed upon the possessor would finally allow her the disguise she required to kill Richard. And then there's a piece there that we want to skip for now. And just on the verge of complete success, Scotia saw her evil plans fail, and she was herself slain by one of the heroes of Gladstone. Does not specify who. In her dying moments, she attempted to send her most valuable possession to her son Luthor, that being the Nether Mask. But the transmission became garbled in the ether, and Luthor received a mangled version of the shape-changing magic. Luthor would indeed change shapes, but he had no control. At a moment's notice and without warning, he would leave his human form behind and manifest as a lizard or a hideous beast. Struggling back to Gladstone to seek a cure for his affliction, Luthor was captured by soldiers of the White Army and thrown into the Gladstone dungeon. Confused and in great pain, Luthor lay stunned in his cell, imprisoned for the crimes of his mother. As we come to present times, we're skipping that. Wonderful. Okay. So, then actually those parts we can also skip because they're going to come up in this intro that we're going to watch now. So that pretty much is what we want to know from the kind of manual for the time being. Some other things worth noting about the game before we dive in. So, it's kind of auspicious that I'm doing this around the same time that The Beast Within is coming out. This doesn't rely quite so heavily on video motion capture. Obviously, Beast Within is pretty much exclusively that, but this is very much a heavy use of video motion capture, which is very fun and adds a lot of personality to the characters. It's worth noting that there's at least two characters that we will be seeing quite a lot in this game who are brought back from the first game, and I would say that their personalities are significantly different from what we saw before. You could argue that we're in a slightly different situation than we were in that game, but still it's notably different, but it really fits well with the tone of the game. Luthor, who is our protagonist, Scotia's son, is certainly not your classic hero. There are both good and evil paths to follow. In this playthrough, we're very much going to do the kind of good play, and then in a subsequent one, probably a little more quickly, I'll go through and do an evil playthrough. But even within that, he's certainly not a white knight or anything like that. He's definitely morally gray in general. Very kind of sarcastic. He's not, just trying to save kittens from trees or whatever. I don't know. But ultimately, I think it's very fun, and you'll sort of see some of Luthor's personality as we go forward here. A lot of other things are different. Instead of being, part of a group, it's just Luthor. We're not going to be getting other people coming and fighting alongside us the way that we did in the first game. There's not multiple characters to choose like we were in that game. And certainly the visuals are very different. it's much more kind of next-gen graphics, which in some ways is a big plus, and in other words, kind of like with Quest for Glory 5, where some of the time the graphics that they wanted to do and the things they wanted to do hadn't quite caught up with themselves. So there are some kind of hitches and problems there that, we'll see and talk about as we go. But I think that is enough babbling for now. So let's just watch our kind of intro scene here and let things get started. And we'll just do it on normal difficulty. The game's not exceptionally difficult, but when you do on the more difficult settings, then there are times when you can hit really brick walls, and I think it's just not worth it for what I want to do here. So we'll just do normal. It does start with a nice, lovely intro. We see this kind of beautiful jungle village, this, adorable little, clearly Q-line girl like Kieran from the first game, kind of enjoying the peaceful land, out gathering either some food or maybe just, ocean products or flowers. We'll see. The costumes and things, they're a little bit silly and campy, but they're really well done, gotta say that. You get a good indication there that this is not going to be a happy-go-lucky experience.
Not now, Jackal. Belial's mother is awake.
What do we have to fear from a dead god?
Belial has arranged his own resurrection. Before his execution, he created a magical beast to serve as his new mother. Even now, she spawns her lesser children as a prelude to her final maternity.
Gross. I like that they call them lizards. Those are clearly spiders.
What will you do, sire?
Or at least arachnids.
My long vision is not quite over.
What about the mortals? What protection will you offer them?
There is one who is cursed with the power to oppose Belial. But he rests in a Gladstone dungeon and has no understanding of his destiny.
This is Kenneth, man who'll become a good friend of ours moving forward.
So, you're Luthor, son of Scotia. You don't look so impressive to me.
That would be the beast form, just in case you're curious. Now, in the entire game, this is the only time where we transition right from beast to lizard. Either in-game or in cutscenes. It never happens again. However, this does show at least some of the relative strengths and weaknesses of the two transformations. Exactly how well that correlates to gameplay we'll talk about maybe in the next video, but our little lizard will escape into this cave. Transform back into Luthor. And here, I think we will end things. So, Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the curse and everything moving forward, but for now, we will stop here. Hopefully you enjoyed this introduction, and hopefully you'll enjoy the actual game. But until next time, see ya.